You've already talked about it before in the past, but can you just take me through that whole draft day experience of realizing that you were going to be, at the time, a Oakland Raider?
hmm Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a lot of different things that have transpired over the years that I look at are like, damn, that was an incredible moment I'll never forget. But that was the real start. You know what I mean? It's one thing to think about getting drafted and like you have the anticipation and everything involved, but once draft day gets there, you really don't know what's going to happen, and there's no other feeling like it. So I remember leading up to that, like even my last year at Eastern, like I would sit there in my little room and have my TV, on the floor, sitting there watching guys get drafted. You know what I mean? Just watching videos of them at the crib, like with their family doing it. Like I would just like manifesting it and like putting it. How is that going to look in my head? So there was so much leading up to it, and then having to wait for 2 days and waiting for day three, just made it even more like, more of a struggle. But I wouldn't change it for anything. You know what I mean? It was one of the best days of my life. Minus my daughter getting born. That's probably number one for sure. But it's definitely up there, and it's a moment I'll never forget. And just having Gruden, Coach Gruden calling me, talking to Mike Mayock, like it was surreal. Like I can't even make it up. It was just like everything that I've worked for and I've put my mind to, and it all was, it all came together. And I was like, this is, it's literally a movie in my head. I'm like, I cannot believe this is really happening.
So with that being said, you're a fourth-round pick from a Group of 5 school.
Yeah.
So obviously people know about you, but not to really the highest of magnitude, coming in. So what were your expectations of yourself going into training camp? And also, what do you think were the expectations from the start of training camp, from your teammates coming in to how you finished out going into the season?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. Like I've always had I don't think it's a secret, but like I've always had an insane belief in what I can do as a player. Like I truly have an, unbelievable amount of, expectations that I put on myself. So I didn't come in with the mindset I'm trying to just make the team or just get on like I wanted to come in and be that guy. And I literally, you could pull up the clip. Like when Gruden drafted me, I literally told him like, I'm the guy. Like I'm that guy. I'm telling you. And I was telling him over and over and over again because that's how much I believe and what I can bring to the table. And you put the work ethic behind it, and the confidence is true. It's you create an unstoppable player, and that's what I'm becoming, and that's what I am, and I'm continuing to get better. So at that time, like I was young, fearless. Like I just wanted an opportunity to go in there and put on a show. Like every time I step out there, I'm a rookie. I was at Eastern, like we had 10 to 12,000 people in the crowd. So going out there and you're in Oakland, like die hard, 60,000 fans, 70,000, how many, were at the home games, going on the road, playing in London, all this stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? But for me, like, I've always thrived in the fire. You know what I mean? My whole life, like my background, what I've come from, what I've been through, like as twisted as it sounds, like I do my best when the pressure's the highest, and when things look crazy and messed up, like I thrive in that. You know what I mean? So I loved it. You know what I mean? End up having a big rookie year. End up getting 10 sacks, which, before the season, I really, I didn't know that was going to happen, but I just needed a chance. You know what I mean? And it really came down to the game before when we went to play the Colts. You know what I mean? The first 3 weeks, I was really struggling, like playing a little bit on first and second down, playing like 20 snaps a game, not getting third down rushes. Like I'm used to playing every single snap. I'm an every down end. And right before we went and played the Colts, Benson got put down. You know what I mean? He had he was dealing with something during the week, but it was kind of iffy if he was going to play or not. And then they said he was down right before the game. So I had no idea that was going to happen. And Buck came to me right before the game started, basically. He's like, "You're up on third." And I'm like, "What?" And I tell people this story all the time, but that's why you don't know when is going to be your opportunity. But the one thing is, like, the things that require no talent are the most important. Like after that Vikings game we played week 3, I was at my lowest of low. I probably played the worst football game I played in the last probably my whole life up to that point. Like I was struggling, bro. And I was really going through it, and then mentally I I was almost defeated, but I didn't give up on myself. You know what I mean? I kept showing up. Buck was so hard on me, like stood up in front of the whole D-line. It was like terrible, everything. Run, pass, and I'm just sitting there taking on the chin. And I had to live that down by myself. But I went to practice the next week, you know what I mean, the next day or whatever it was, and I got harder. I got harder on myself. I was running to the ball, flying, even though all that hard stuff was going on. And then, ironically, a week later, I get an opportunity to go play and haven't looked back since. We go play the Colts. I played like 50-something snaps, had a couple batted balls, a forced fumble, a bunch of pressures, and that was the start of everything, you know what I mean? And that's why I just tell guys all the time, like, you don't know if it's going to be week 10 when you get your opportunity. You don't know if it's going to be your second year, your third year, whatever it is. But if you're putting in the work, you're going to get an opportunity. It's up to you if you're ready or not. So that really changed everything for me, and I haven't looked back since.
So let's fast forward a couple of weeks after that. You do what you do against the Colts, and now it's week 11 against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
To the best of your recollection, take me through what was your mindset going into that game? What did you – I believe it was Finley who had started because Dalton was hurt. Yeah. So take me through your preparation going into that week in that game.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it vividly. I knew up to that point I've been playing some pretty damn good football. I've been getting better and better. My sack numbers were not there at the time. I believe I had 2.5, 3 sacks maybe at that point. And this is week 11, you know what I mean? So I knew I've been playing better, but, you know what I mean, the sacks come in bunches. And they had Bobby Hart at right tackle. They had John Jerry at left tackle. Finley was the starter. And we're playing at home against, I think, a 0-9 or 1-9 Bengals, something like that. And I had been watching Everson Griffin tape all week. And I watched him rush versus the Bengals, and he was torching them. Like, spin move, everything was just killing these tackles. And I'm like – and he didn't have – I don't think he had a sack. He might have had one or a half, but he might have had 10, 15 pressures. Like, he was killing them. And so I'm watching the film. I'm like, I need to go out, try to outdo this dude. Like, excuse my language, like, he's hunting these dudes down. So I remember just watching him over and over that week. And we go into the game. I remember I believe it was the first drive of the game. Had a cross chop on John Jerry. Got a strip sack. Mo Hurst picks it up, jumps in the crowd. And then, I mean, after that, you start the game quick, get a sack like a strip sack, and they come in bunches. I remember getting one on a boot. They ran a boot with Finley, and I just sniffed it out. Then the third one, the third one was a speed to power on John Jerry again, got a sack when they were backed up. And then the fourth one was a game I ran with Deion Jordan. I came underneath and snagged him by the ankle, and he almost fumbled it. So, yeah, I mean, I remember it very vividly.
Like it was yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. Like we can go back to middle school. I'll probably remember what happened in the game. So, yeah, it was a great day. 4-piece. That's the most I've ever had. I need to outdo that. You know what I mean? I got some work to do, but yeah, I remember it vividly.
I might be corrected, but I believe it's the most sacks by a rookie in franchise history.
Yeah, I believe so.
Game. So that's a huge record. So you also won your first of, I believe, now 5 or 6 defensive players of the week for that performance. Coming into the league, even with your high expectations, would you have ever imagined, at that moment being like, man, I'm a defensive player of the week in this league? Like, how crazy of an accomplishment was that?
It was wild. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. That week leading up to it, like, I remember the football aspect, but like, I was really going through a lot at that time. You know what I mean? I was going through a lot off the field. You know what I mean? Battling my own demons and going through what I was going through, and just to be able to go out there and let it all out and put it all on the line was huge. So, yeah, like for me, like, I expect myself to play at the highest level. So when things like that, I get the reward, the awards for it, for those accomplishments and things like that. As crazy as it sounds, like, it just makes me hungrier. Like, I just want to get more. You know what I mean? When I do it, it's like, okay, that's what I expect to do every game. You know what I mean? I go in practice. You watch me in practice. I expect to get a sack or TFL or mess up the play every play. You know what I mean? That's the standard I set for myself. And everyone else has now grown to like expect that every single day. So I hold, my standard is out of this world, you know what I mean, that I hold for myself. So it was crazy, the first time I'm like, damn, like I'm really doing this. You know what I mean? I'm coming from Eastern, and I knew people were sleeping on me and didn't really understand like what I could do on the field, but like I knew I've been doing it for a few years now. Like every big game we played in college, we're going to play in Purdue, Kentucky, all these big schools. Like I'm getting 2 sacks, every 3-4 TFLs, every one of those games. Like I know what I can do. It just, I had to continue to put it all together. And it takes years to do that and consistency. And that's what it's all about. So yeah, I mean, I've won a few of those awards, the player of the weeks and stuff like that. And, I've set a couple more records and things like that. Like legacy is everything to me. You know what I mean? I want to be immortal. When it's all said and done, I want to be the best to do it. And that's what motivates me. So yeah, in those moments, like you look at it, you're like, damn, this is dope. But like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do next week? That's all people remember. You know what I mean? So that's what pushes me every day to be better.
Last question. With that performance, it was obviously your breakout party.
Mm-hmm.
How much momentum do you believe that game in particular has really set on your career now to where you are, and also really changed the narrative of who you are as a player to the outside world?
Yeah, I feel like that was like it broke the floodgates open a little bit. You know what I mean? Especially as a rusher, I feel like every elite rusher, every really good rusher in this league goes through it at some point. You know what I mean? It's like you have that breaking point. It's like, I'm rushing my ass off. I'm getting close. I'm getting pressures. Like just a couple of years ago, I mean, a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was, like everyone always said, oh, well, Max gets a lot of pressures. He doesn't get sacks. You know what I mean? That was like the narrative. And now there's always going to be something that they're going to say, well, he hasn't done this. If you know what I mean? It's like if you walk on water, they're going to say, well, it's because he can't swim. You know what I mean? It's like that's how people are. And I love it. Like I truly love being doubted. And I take note of everything. So, I mean, we had the conversation right before this, and I'll get fired up. But, like, that's how I operate, you know what I mean? I think a lot of people talk about, like, the motor and how hard I play and what I put into it. But, like, I think people really don't understand how competitive I am. You know what I mean? That's, like, people know, obviously, to do what I do, you got to be competitive. But I don't think people understand it to the level of what I do. Like, I don't care if I'm playing 2K. I don't care if I'm playing Pig. I don't care if we're doing warm-up lines. Like, there's a reason I'm up front in the warm-up. I want to win in everything I do. If I don't, I'm messed up until I win again. So that's how I carry myself every day. And, you know what I mean? It's crazy to see what we've done so far. But it just motivates me to do even more because I know I'm not at my best yet. I know I could still be better. And that's what pushes me every day.
That's all I got, man. I appreciate your time, dog.
Appreciate you, brother. Awesome. Always, bro.